2023 study session of the Livonia City Council. Please rise as Councilman Brandon McCullough leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. McCullough. Tonight's meeting will set the agenda for the 1976th regular meeting of the Livonia City Council, which will take place on September 6th, where tonight's items will be officially voted on. You will hear items on the agenda tonight brought before the council for study purposes. Council members may at any time offer a motion directing and approving, denying, or referring to a committee or some other action. Those motions will carry over into the notes for the next meeting and may be offered at the regular meeting, but they will not be voted on tonight. The council has set aside up to 30 minutes at the beginning of the meeting for audience communication on any items that are not on the agenda tonight. Is there anybody at this time wishing to speak to the council on any non-agenda items? Going once, going twice. Audience communication is closed. Are there any council members tonight wishing to comment before the meeting? I see none. We will get right down to business with item number 1. That's new business, a request to approve and recognize the Clarenceville High School Homecoming Parade route, the closing of certain city streets, and to request to designate and authorize Senior Police Officer Michael Arkalian to sign the Wayne County Road Commission permit on behalf of the city to close a portion of Middlebelt Road, with the city to assume liability for any damage claims which may result as a result of the road closure. This comes to us from Kevin Murphy, Athletic Director of Clarenceville High School, to be held on Friday, September 29th, 2023, beginning at 6:15 p.m. And it says Megan Fitzgerald will be presenting this item. Is that you?
Hi, yes.
Welcome to the meeting. Tell me your name and address, please, or the address of the school.
Megan Fitzgerald. I don't have the address memorized.
Clarenceville High School.
Clarenceville High School, yeah.
Good enough. So we've seen this, I think this is the 8th year in a row that I've seen this,
Yeah, nothing's changed.
except for more fun every year, right?
Yes, exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
Have you had any problems or anything reported to the school in regards to this?
No, and this is my 3rd year, and I have yet to have any run-ins.
I assume it is a happy experience for
Yeah.
all involved and everybody watching it as well. Can I have a motion from the council?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Morgan? You have the floor, sir.
Yep, I'd like to make a motion for approving on the consent.
Okay. Any audience comments on item 1? I see none. Consent means it's all but assured to pass at the next regular meeting, and you do not have to appear back.
Okay, perfect.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is a block party request from Krista Levens to be held on Saturday, September 16, 2023, from 3 to 10 p.m. on Grandin Street between Harrison and Brentwood Streets. Good evening, ma'am. Your name and address, please?
Krista Levens, 28615 Grandin Street.
Okay. Is this party something that has happened again?
This
or
is the
happened in the past?
35th annual.
Okay. All right. So anything new and exciting to look forward to this year?
We actually have a lot of new neighbors this year, young neighbors that have younger children, so we're super excited to do it this year.
So is this the test?
Yes.
As to whether or not they?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
See if they fit in.
Sounds good.
No, they're awesome.
Can I have a motion from the council? Mr. McCullough?
Is my 25-year ban over, or is it still in effect? No. I actually think I've attended this one time, a long, long time ago in the
Okay.
Clemens Circle days.
Yeah.
So I'd be happy to offer an approving on consent. If there are no objections.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any audience comment on item 2? There's none. It's on consent. You're all set. Enjoy the
Thank
party.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3 is a site plan petition from the Planning Commission. Petition 2023-060805 submitted by the Blaine Group, requesting to install an array of ground-mounted solar panels in the parking lot of the Cambridge Office Center at 38777 6 Mile Road, located on the south side of 6 Mile Road, between the I-275 Expressway and Haggerty Road in the northwest quarter of Section 18. Notification was sent to Brady Blaine of the Blaine Group. Good evening, sir. Your name and address, please.
Jim Blaine, office is 3920 6 Mile Road. House is 740 Lakeshore Lane, Northville.
Well, the second part could be in Livonia, right? Just joking.
No.
Tell us what this is about.
We've got the building, it's called the Hankook Building, I think you might be familiar with it. And at the time we built it, I think we built it in '85. And the zoning ordinance at that point in time, I think it was 5 spaces per 1,000. We've never used part of this parking lot for 15 years. We rope it off, we don't plow it, you know. And we've always tried to decide, what are we gonna do with this piece of property? And the big thing now, and everything the government is pushing is for climate change and solar and wind. And I said, why don't we look at doing a solar project on that parking lot? So we contacted a couple of solar companies, they did studies, and we came up with a design, and we think it's gonna work. We've talked to our tenants, Hankook Tire, big into carbon credits, Ube out of Japan, big into carbon credits. They think it's a great deal. We don't think anybody's gonna see it. It's only, I think it's 9.5, maybe 10 foot tall at the highest. And we don't use that piece of land. So that's why we thought we'd bring it in, and surprisingly, you don't see a lot of people doing this. I don't know why, but it's obviously, it's a positive, I think for us. It's gonna take about 1/3 of the energy, those solar panels.
Will that be 1/3 of the energy for your building?
Yeah, we use about 1 million kilowatts. This will be about 300 and some thousand kilowatts.
Okay. Vice President Toy and then Mr. Morgan.
Thank you very much. To Mr. Blaine, if I may. Mr. Blaine, is that on the corner where your that wetland comes on that corner, or no? There's a lot of tall grasses anyhow?
Well, actually, they're cattails along
cattails.
the entrance into 275 South.
Yes.
Off 6 Mile. So that, they hide part of it.
Correct, okay.
And
that's
then we
what I
have a
thought.
berm with a fully matured trees, which we put in
Yeah.
85.
Right,
And that hides the other part, and then the
Okay.
rest of it's the building.
that's what I thought. Okay, you know, Mr. Chair, Mr. Blaine's been a resident, or not a resident, but certainly a resident for his building, nice building, well kept up, and been here forever and done some great things for our community, and I would like to offer an approving. I think this is what really forward-thinking, Mr. Blaine, and hopefully others will follow your example. Thank you for bringing this forward. I'm going to ask for an approving resolution. Sometimes I feel like we're on the voice, you know?
I thank you for that. I was just telling Mark, this is 38 years
Wow.
standing here.
Wow,
You know,
okay.
when we first started this whole project with Ed McNamara and everybody else.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. Well, I take it back, I'm not that old, but thank you.
Unfortunately, I am.
Yes,
Sometimes it's hard not to comment.
yes, sometimes it is, yes, sir.
Mr. Morgan, do you have anything to add?
I just have a couple questions, sir. These solar panels, I've seen them before, I've been out west, they have a lot of solar panels out there, and they give off a lot of glare and a lot of heat. Which way are these going to be facing? Are they going to be
Well,
facing?
they face south. It's very, very similar to Madonna College on Newburgh.
Okay.
There's no glare. These absorb light. That's their game. They take in light from every which way, from above and below. So that's how they work.
What about those trees that are on the south side there that I see on this plan? Are those going to be removed?
No,
Where I see the
no,
parking
no,
lot?
everything's
That-
staying.
everything
We're just
stays,
using the
just-
parking lot that we never use.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mr. McCullough?
Just a quick note, thank you, Mr. President. Please keep us informed on when this goes out. I mean, this is probably going to be the biggest array of solar panels in the city. It's exciting to know that that's going to power that much of the building, so kudos.
Yeah.
And thanks for, I guess, saving energy, but, bringing some innovation to an existing building.
Mr. Toromina, you've been involved in several of these initiatives in the city. Where does this rank in terms of other initiatives that have taken place?
It's roughly the same size as the Madonna system.
Okay.
Similar type of layout as well.
And is this a kind of proposal that comes across your desk very often, or
No, this is very uncommon, actually. We see very few of these on a commercial level.
We see several residential applications, single family, but not many that involve, that are to this scale. So this supplies about 150 kilowatts. The ordinance does restrict the output to 10 kilowatts. So that is something that this council will have to waive as part of the approval. Other than that, the only thing that Planning Commission recommended with respect to landscaping, the ordinance does require screening. As was pointed out, there's plenty of landscaping along the south property line. There may be some areas that need to be supplemented along the south property line where there might be gaps in the vegetation there, which is quite mature. But other than that, we think that that's adequate.
Thank you. And I just have one question. In regards to the power that is generated, the electricity, will you be storing any of that on site, or will it all be going back into the grid?
It's all used by the building. We have no storage, and
Okay.
it's not going back to DTE.
Okay,
It's all being used in the building.
that's great.
And these panels are American-made.
Just keeps getting better and better, huh?
It does.
Mr. Donovic?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Blaine, for coming tonight. Thanks for all the years of service that your guys' building has provided the residents and building owners alike. Looking at the plans, it says a 4-foot-high fence. What kind of material is that fence made out of?
It's a chain link fence.
Chain link
Very
fence.
similar to Madonna College's fence,
Okay.
and just to keep so kids don't ride bicycles into the array or whatever.
Sure. And then, I know in the pictures you provided, it shows that those solar panels are in grass fields. You're not removing the asphalt here? You're going to leave the asphalt? Or you're
Yeah,
removing
we're going to leave the asphalt, and they put them actually now on concrete pads that have the supports that support the hole. So we really won't be digging into the asphalt either.
So in theory, you could remove them years from now and still have that parking lot for other uses
Correct.
if you wanted to.
Absolutely.
And then those islands that you have right now, do those islands currently have landscaping in them?
There's rocks with some grasses.
Okay, do you guys plan on enhancing those islands at all with landscaping, or you're just gonna leave it as is?
We're thinking we're going to do the landscaping closer to the building, so the tenants, any first-floor tenants may be blocked. But the tenants have been so positive about this that I'm not even sure that's going to be a problem.
And then to Mr. Tormenta through the chair, I know you did reference that the city ordinance essentially places a limitation on how much energy the solar panels can give off. Why do we have that ordinance, and is that something that council should look at?
Next time we amend the ordinance, I think we're going to scrap that.
Okay, all
Or
right,
at least recommend that it be scrapped.
yeah. Well, does that ordinance, since we're gonna waive that ordinance today, though, so it doesn't affect the petitioner? Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any audience comments on item number 3? If there's no objection from the council, that'll be on consent. Thank you, Mr. Blaine. You're all set. It's assured but to pass. You don't have to come back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Item number 4 is a request to amend the solid waste and recycling services contract with GFL. This is coming to us from the Department of Public Works for a 1-year extension from the Refuse Fund. Mr. Roraff?
Good evening, Council. Don Roraff, DPW. As you mentioned, we're looking for a 1-year extension with GFL for our solid waste contract. Back in 2015, City Council approved an 8-year contract at the time with Rizzo, who was later acquired by GFL. The current contract had a 9-cent increase in year 4 of the contract from $10.05 to $10.14 per unit. The prices remained flat with no increase for the last 5 years. Over the last 8 years of the existing contract, if there would have been an increase of 3 to 4% or a rate of inflation, we would have had a rate close to what is being offered currently by GFL in the extension proposal here tonight. The extension proposal will have no changes to our existing services as we see them today. The only change will be the per unit pricing would increase from $10.14 to $13.39, and that's an attachment A in your packets. Even recently, with all the labor conditions, the quality of service that we've been receiving from GFL has been very good. The complaints have been minimal. GFL has always been very responsive to our needs, including the 3 pretty good storms, I would say, that we've had this year, whether it be ice, snow, or recently here with the tree damage that we've had with the winds that came through here. They've been nothing but outstanding, reaching out to us there and trying to offer assistance for any cleanup services we might have. At this time in the current environment, the department feels that a one-year extension would be the best solution. The one-year extension allows time for necessary meetings to include the pertinent information to be included in an RFP that will go out hopefully in early 2024. So it is the recommendation of the department that council approve the extension of GFL contract for a one-year period from December 1st, 2023 through November 30th of 2024 at the proposed unit costs shown in attachment A. Funding for the contract will be included in various accounts contained within the 2023-24 budget in the refuse account. We do have Sam, our contractor, here tonight. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer, or if you have something for Sam, he's here as well.
Mr. Barr, and then Ms. McIntyre.
Actually, I don't necessarily have questions, so if there's questions, I'll stand down.
Any questions?
I do not have questions. Appreciate that the mayor was able to very appropriately share information with the council, one-on-one, not any discussions, inappropriate discussions among council. But there's a lot of information here. This was a lot of data to digest. There was a lot of comparative data to digest. There was pricing data. There was looking back at historical costs, at where the residential solid waste management is going, the changes that GFL have made to how they process their recycling, and the net of this is that what we are being offered from GFL for a one-year extension. If you look at the difference between the prior contract and this contract over the last 5 years, it just about equals, on average, the rate of inflation. And I don't see, and we had an opportunity to look at some competitive costs. I've done some research on my own, talked to other communities. Also important to note, the number of vendors in residential solid waste hauling is shrinking. It's not increasing. It is a very, very difficult, capital-intensive business. It is very, very difficult to get staffing. We saw that, like most industries, right, the low point was during COVID. And you think about all the people that were able to work from home, that were able to get special unemployment compensation. The people who handle our residential waste, AK trash, had to get back to work very, very quickly, and work at a time when, it wasn't known how this was spread. And not surprisingly, GFL, like every other waste hauler, had a, just terrifically difficult time getting staff, maintaining staff. Rates had to go, wages had to go up very significantly. And, we got through some difficult months. As I think Mr. Roroff mentioned, the GFL team was completely responsive to the city, did everything humanly possible, ran extra shifts, ran 7-day shifts. And remember, at the time that this was going on, not only was it very difficult to get staffing, people were all at home, and guess what they were doing? They were cleaning their junk out. So it's not even like GFL was trying to keep up with normal demand, and they kind of know, right, based on holidays, how demand and average pickups are going to look. This was an unprecedented stretch of time where people just had time to throw their stuff out. So, it was a very high volume. I think the city is being offered a very, very good opportunity. There are a lot of things changing in this space in terms of cost, in terms of technology, in terms of recycling, and the ability to extend this for 1 year, essentially at the rate of inflation, paying for what the rate of inflation has been for the last 5 years. Will we give ourselves a year to really dig deep is a tremendous value to the city, and by extension to our residents. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Ladies first.
Oh, that's all right. I was going to
That's
yield
sexist.
to my, okay, whatever.
Well, I'll take it. That's Ms.
Okay,
Toy, then
all right.
Mr. Barr.
If I may, to Mr. Roroff. Mr. Roroff, you did a great job in that seminar. I think I'll echo a lot of my good colleague McIntyre's comments, right on point. It just makes good dollars and cents, this whole contract, if you will. I know there's people out there that wouldn't agree with me, that have a few problems here and there, but I think they're few. This is a tough business. I mean, those guys are out there in the heat, in the cold. I just can't believe it. And, you know, what they do and how they do it, and, you know, you pull dead animals to the side of the road and they pick them up. I mean, it's amazing. And, you know, in our white goods and the recycling goods and all the kinds of services they do, I don't know who you'd ever pay enough money to. People are jealous of Livonia because we pick up so many things. I mean, a lot of cities don't do that anymore, including Leafs. So, I mean, we're a community that really services people when it comes to some of their waste, both vegetation-wise as well as garbage-wise. And I appreciate that. And in our city parks, we have adequate number. We were up north this weekend, and they have a contract with them, and you stop by one of the state roadside parks, and here's all these little bins around, and it's just refreshing to see, and the recycling that's going on as well. So I commend them, and I would offer an approving resolution on this if there's one needed, if it hasn't been offered yet. I would be happy to do that, and with much gratitude to the company and to the team that does this within the city as well. Thank you.
Mr. Barr?
I do have one question. And we actually talked about this in the meeting that we had, but I think it's important for public discussion. Why are we looking at just, I'm in favor of this as well. My only question is why we're looking at it for just 1 year.
Well, through the chair, we were originally in the discussion sitting down and talking about a 2-year and trying to incorporate like recycling carts and different things into that extension. And I think at the end of the day, and I don't want to speak for GFL or Sam, I think at the end of the day, they were comfortable with the 1 year. They were going to have procurement issues of trying to obtain all of the equipment and the trucks that they were going to need to be able to kind of transfer to a cart process for recycling and or trash. And at the end of the day, it looked like we would be looking at 2025 before we would receive any of that value. So at that point, we kind of pulled it back a little bit, said, let's just go 1 year. We'll get this RFP pulled together, get it out early in 2024, which will give procurement time and everything, hopefully for, you know, GFL or anyone else that's bidding on that to be able to come through and serve the city the way that our expectations would be.
So what I'm hearing is a presumption that we're moving towards carts for recycle bins and refuse, and that's why we're just doing 1 year, because we want to give ourselves time to put that together.
If you're asking the DPW director, yes, that is the case.
So, and that's fair, and there's good reasons to be looking at that. Because I will no longer be on this council when that decision comes up, I do want to take this opportunity to say, having had that conversation, having given it a lot of thought, having had subsequent conversations, I just want to go on record and say, I don't think that that's in the best interest of the city long-term to do that. There's additional cost for it, and the additional cost is for a reason. In subsequent, and I don't want to speak for him, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but in subsequent discussions with Mr. Caramagno, just to understand the different dynamics involved, part of the reason the cost is there is because there's higher maintenance costs with those kind of trucks. And there's actually a number of reasons, even from, again, don't want to speak for them. My understanding is even from GFL's perspective, there's a number of reasons to prefer the current way we do it. And from this taxpayer's perspective, I don't see enough benefit to go into the covered carts to justify the increased cost that we'll be looking at. So I won't be at the table to make that decision. So I wanted to make the point now, because I'm sure there will be much discussion on that in the next 12 months. So thanks.
Thank you.
So I'll just take a second here. Mr. Roraff alluded to the service that is received by GFL in times of need, such as the storms and when there have been basements flooding in the past and things of that nature. I recently had an experience that is not uncommon for many of my colleagues. I'm sure have had similar experiences. My 10-year-old daughter alerted me that there were 2 elderly people knocking on my door just about a week and a half ago. And I went out on the porch to talk to them, and they could not make way of the city phone system in regards to understanding if they did something the right way to report a dead deer. And they came to my house to let me know that there was a dead deer next to the curb that they needed help getting rid of. I sent an email to DPW and they forwarded it to Sam. And well within an hour, I'd say probably 30 minutes, Sam sent an email back that said, it's been picked up, we're all set. And that's the kind of service that we've gotten. And I won't make this too personal, but there's probably not a person in this room who does as much for this community as Sam does. And it's a great partnership through GFL because Sam is the lead contact we have for GFL. So I'm glad to see this for a year, and I trust that between Don and Sam, we'll figure out what's going to happen after this. And it'll be the best decision for Livonia and our taxpayers. But right now, I'm perfectly comfortable approving this extension. Thank you. Mr. Donovic?
Thank you, Mr. President. Briefly, Mr. Roraff, thank you for that really in-depth presentation you gave to council at that rapid response meeting. I wish we got more of those because it was so beneficial and critical so that we don't have a lot of questions. Some people might be asking, why don't we have a lot of questions? But you covered everything, and Mr. Carmagno at that meeting, so I really appreciate that, and thanks for all the work that DPW does. And to Mr. Carmagno, I know it's frustrating from a resident standpoint. You see loose trash in the street sometimes, and sometimes there's complaints because your trash didn't get picked up or not. I can tell all the residents that the Carmagno family lives in Livonia. They manage our trash contract from a GFL perspective, and every one of these council members here have gotten calls from residents complaining about trash thing, and we don't have to call a 1-800 number that's in a different country. We call Mr. Carmagno, and it's either him or his son that is managing the city trash. They're out there immediately, and they're boots on the ground. They're getting the job done for our residents, and it's a dirty business, no pun intended. It's not easy. There's thousands and thousands of homes with thousands and thousands of trash cans. It's not an easy job to manage, and you're out there Monday through Saturday, some Sundays. So while it's unfortunate trash has gotten more expensive, it seems like a pretty good deal for us as a city and gives us a year of breathing room to kind of put together a good plan for a long-term contract. And I really hope that we can continue this good service that we've been getting all these years. Thank you, Mr. President.
So the one thing that I'll just add to what you said, and people don't realize this, there are in an excess of 40,000 single-family homes in the city. Could you imagine picking up the garbage or doing anything for 40,000 homes every week?
Campaigned, I mean.
Well,
We're not
I haven't campaigned like that. So, because this is a large contract, I'm going to ask that it goes on the regular, just so we have a formal vote for it. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to address this matter? Speak on behalf of item number 4?
Mr. Chair, just one comment. Is that on consent? I don't know if we'd clarified.
I just asked for it to be on regular.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Just because of the size and the type of contract, I think it's appropriate.
Margaret Earl, 31545 Pembroke. I have a really nice relationship with all of our guys that pick up the trash, the recycling. I have a treat bag for them every time they come on Friday morning. They do a great job. Thanks.
What about the people campaigning? No.
Only some of them.
Yeah, depends, I guess. All right, if there's nothing else from the audience or the council, this item number 4 will be on the regular agenda. And thank you, gentlemen, for being here, and thank you for the effort of everybody to learn about this process through those meetings. Item number 5 is an award of bid from the Department of Public Works for the SCADA Design Build Contract, Phase 1 from budgeted funds. Mr. Roraff, what is SCADA? SCADA.
SCADA, Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition.
I thought you were going to say something about like
Can't.
skateboards or something.
Not
Like you were a
allowed.
SCADA boy. No?
I would,
All right, tell us what this is.
All right, thank you. Just before I get rolling, I want to make a comment that currently there is no existing SCADA system to monitor or control any facilities that we have with our utilities here in the city, whether that be water or sewer. All of these systems are currently checked manually, and we are obviously in a reactionary mode a lot of the times when we're out doing that. We try to be preventative, but just wanted to open up with that comment. The department, along with the assistance of OHM advisors, prepared a detailed request for proposals to design, implement, and maintain a new SCADA system to monitor water and sewer system facilities within the city. This is the first of 3 phases that will be proposed using a progressive design-build approach to fully integrate our water and sewer systems with a new SCADA system that would include water system, pressure-reducing valves, closed control valves, one-way check valves, pressure transmitters, and in the sewer system, pump station, flow meters, high-level sensors, and rain gauges. Phase 1 will be focusing on the water system, and that would include 13 assets, which would be 6 pressure-reducing valves, 1 control valve, 4 water valves, 1 pressure sensor, and 1 sewer pump station. Features of the SCADA system on these critical assets include control panels, instrumentation, battery backups, and a cellular-based telemetry. Bids were pushed out onto Mitten, or BidNet Direct, as it's currently called. 4 bids were received and were evaluated by an internal committee based on qualifications, experience, work plan, and costs. The top 3 firms were invited in for interviews. Through this evaluation and the interview process, the committee determined that Motor City Electric provided the best overall proposed package to the city. It is the recommendation of the department that council proceed. Well, before I do that, I have one more part. Sorry, I put it on the back. Phase 1 will be focusing on the water system controls with management of the incoming pressures and flows from the GLWA system, along with the division of our own internal pressure zones. It should be noted that Phase 1 also includes upfront costs for the overall SCADA system, which is hardware, software, programming, testing, staff training, plus the first year of cell and software subscriptions. And of that amount, it's about $300,000. So with that, it is the recommendation of the department that council proceed to accept the proposal and award the design-build contract to Motor City Electric Technologies for all labor, materials, and equipment to design and build the SCADA system as outlined in the specifications in the amount not to exceed $1,606,051 from budgeted funds to execute the contract on behalf of the city. We do have the contractors here tonight. If you have questions for them that are more technical, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that we may have regarding this.
Mr. McCullough?
Thank you, Council President. Through the chair to Mr. Roraff. So right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the lift stations, how do you do preventative maintenance? I mean, right now, so basically you're in a reactionary mode.
Correct.
Without the SCADA.
That's correct.
Yeah, this is a great benefit. You know, when we have issues or, you know, water and sewer have issues, right now they're not able to see. This would literally, I'm sure it's cellular based. So a PRV, pressure relief valve,
Yep.
goes bad, your lift station loses power, you're being able to see it in real time. And so, you know, one catastrophic event that this SCADA system could save could outweigh all the costs involved probably with 1, 2, and 3. This is a great tool, and it's something that I'm happy you're bringing forward. Kudos to your team, and I'd be happy to offer an approving on consent.
Mr. President.
Mr. Donovic?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks, Mr. Rushlow, for, Mr. Roraff, for being here. With that being said, the 1.6 million, this is a one-time cost
That's the cost for Phase 1.
for Phase 1?
That's
And then
correct.
what do you think it's going to cost on an annual or biannual basis, et cetera?
For the first year, that is the cost. Everything is included in that cost. The startup costs, all those subscriptions, everything there is included in that. Let me look at that. I believe the cellular subscription was, and I'm trying to find it, but it was about $8,000 annually for that.
And
Phase 1.
your expertise, do you think we as a city, because water and sewer is so important, such a critical infrastructure need we as a community have, do you think having this SCADA system will actually save us money in the long run? I know 1.6 is a big number, but do you think your department, the water and sewer department, will be able to save money because we can conduct preventative maintenance or know there's an issue and get to it quicker before it does explode, and then you're spending more resources and time and money, et cetera?
Absolutely. You know, and again, it's water and sewer. I know we're focusing a little bit out of the gates on the water side of it, but as everyone knows, when you're dealing with GLWA and you're dealing with, you know, pressures and everything else that happen there, we just want to get some critically identified areas onto the SCADA system. Ideally, you've probably heard SCADA a lot on the sewer side, which will start to give you alarms if there's a high water alarm in a pump station, or if there's high water that starts to accumulate in some of our mains, sewer mains. Those right there, you're getting ahead of that, you're identifying that, you're being notified, you know, through an alert system. Absolutely. I mean, we are way behind the 8 ball when it comes to the technology on the side of SCADA of getting this going and getting to where we should be.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks to the contractors for being here. I appreciate it.
Mr. McCullough?
Just one last thing that I was thinking, through the chair to Mr. Roraff again. Have you looked to see if this would be at least a percentage? It wouldn't be a lot, obviously, the grand scheme with MMRMA, with the RAP grant. I mean, they might be an option. I know that those grants are a little easier to go through than some of the other
Yeah, we're
things.
identifying that. We obviously, we don't want to get too far down the path, right? But yeah, anything and everything that we can do to help
I'm
supplement.
sure they'd
this.
be very happy
Yeah.
to know that we're monitoring everything. So thank you.
Okay, is there any audience comment on this? I believe we have an approving, correct? What's the amount of the contract? What's the amount, the total amount?
1.6, I'm sorry, $1,606,051.
Yeah, let's not do that on
Deal.
consent. just
We'll have a vote.
Because of the cost.
Who moved it?
Yeah, so we'll put that on the regular. And in a related item, item number 6, that's a request to amend the QBS engineering contract with OHM Advisors from DPW for the program management and construction engineering services for the SCADA Design Build Contract Phase 1, citing Council Resolution 336-21. Mr. Roraff?
Thank you. As you mentioned, this is like Part B to the SCADA system, and this is for OHM services. The department, as I mentioned, in assistance with OHM, prepared detailed requests for proposals to design, implement, and maintain a new SCADA system to monitor the 13 water and sewer facilities on the city's behalf. OHM also assisted the department through the evaluation and the interview process of the prospective firms. To further assist the department with this project, OHM would be responsible to provide program management and construction engineering, along with administrative services to support the city during the design-build process. OHM has prepared the attached proposal and contract supplements for these services in accordance with the existing QBS contract. It's the department recommendation that the council proceed to accept the proposed contract amendment for OHM Advisors for the construction, engineering, inspection, and contract administration, and authorize the expenditure in amount not to exceed $80,000 from budgeted funds. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Roraff. And I
We
see
do
that-
have Ms. Gators here if you have any questions for her or OHM.
Ms. Caters knows more about Livonia's water system than, what, anybody else, right? Does she know more than you do, or no? Is it close?
Yeah, I'll give it to her today.
All right. Can I have a motion or direction from the council? Mr. Morgan?
Yeah, I'd like to offer a motion for consent.
Okay, we have an approving for consent. Is there any audience comments on item number 6? Seeing none, we'll move on to 7, a request for authorization to waive the sealed bid process and purchase security cameras from the Department of Public Works for the DPW yard. This is from budgeted funds. Mr. Moore, good evening.
Good evening, Council. Doug Moore with the Department of Public Works. These next two items go hand in hand for DPW yard security. The contractor who installed the building security at the new DPW building, we chose to go with them because the two systems are going to tie in seamlessly. We're going to get 6 cameras. 2 will be on fleet maintenance. 1 will be at the northeast corner. 1 will be at the southwest. It'll give us coverage in that corner. We will have 1 on the fueling station cover, if you're familiar with that, that's going to scan north along that fence.
Good.
We're going to have 1 on the carport storage, which is going to face kind of northwest to give us that view. And then 2 will be on building maintenance, the front southwest corner and the back southeast and northwest corners. I gotta have my hands to work. Combined cost for the cameras is $45,200. That includes some electrical work that RCI is going to have to do to get these things working for us. We found out on Thursday that we will be getting a grant through MMRMA for half of the cost, so approximately $25,000. These are going to help with security in the yard. Last spring in 2022, we had 15 catalytic converters stolen off trucks at $8,500 apiece for an expense of $127,500. We also had a zero-turn mower that had a bagger on it stolen out of the yard and a John Deere Gator. So we're asking council to approve advanced security communications to install this system for us.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
is there, I know at some point on the city campus, the Livonia Police Department has direct access to real-time monitoring abilities. Will they have that with the system?
I don't know if they do or not down at ours because of the distance. I know everything around here they view at the police station. I'm not sure down there. I do believe, though, advanced security is combined with everything.
Okay, I see Mr. Roraff coming up here. It just seems like with everything you just said, that should be something we should have the ability to
They have
do.
100% ability to view that.
Okay. Is that something that is there somebody that it's kind of in the police department in like the evening hours who is kind of not directly monitoring, but keeping their eye on these cameras? Or will there be? Or is it something that just if something's reported, they can pull it up after the fact?
Yeah, you have the ability to go back, rewind it to a certain point in time, so if something did happen, you'd be able to view that. I don't know the operations internally of the front police desk or anywhere else that may have the ability to look at that. I don't know if they currently look at their cameras while they're working overnight, but that's something that we can definitely have conversations with them on and kind of put them on notice if they are available to do that.
Yeah, it seems like with all the city assets that you have under your control and we buy a lot of nice equipment, right?
Absolutely.
And we want to make sure you have access to that. We got to make sure that everything's, appropriately taken
100%
care
agree.
of. To my colleagues,
Oh, go ahead.
McIntyre?
This is a easy decision. I don't think anybody's offered it for, I'd like to offer approving on consent, and thank you, Mr. Jolly, for getting clarification.
Okay. Any
There are no
audience
objections.
comment on 7? Seeing none, 7 will be on consent.
Thank you.
Item 8 is an award of contract from, thank you, Mr. Moore. Is this yours too?
Yes.
Yeah. Award of contract from the engineering division for DPW fencing replacement project from budgeted funds.
So engineering actually put this bid out, but Dave Lear and I were working closely on it. We bid out the fence replacement program, and to start this year, we're going to do the northernmost section of fence that would run from fleet maintenance to the corner of the storage yard that we share. And then we're also going to do the southern part, it'd be the west fence, but running south towards where it hits Clippers. And we've got some security with Clippers because they got all those concrete barriers. So all told, we're going to get about 1,020 linear feet of fence. The fence is going to be the same type that's at LPD and around the skate park. It's that tall, vertical aluminum fence. It was bid out on July 14th. The bids were opened on August 1st. We had 6 bids come back. The low bidder, Complete Fence, was disavowed because of no bid bond. So we moved on to Motor City Fence, and we're asking council to approve Motor City Fence. And this will be the first step. We're hoping to get more fence put in next year, or next year's budget.
Mr. President,
Mr. Donovan?
I'll offer an approving on consent if there's no objection from my colleagues.
So the contractor here for 8 is Motor City Fence, and the contractor for 5 is Motor City Electric? Is that correct? Okay. I just think they're not related, I take it, correct? Okay. It's funny that you have 2 items with similar names coming across. All right, we have an approving for consent from Donovic. Is there any audience comment at all? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 9.
Thank you.
Item 9 is a request to amend the engineering contract with OHM Advisors for professional engineering services for the 2023 Transportation Asset Management Plan from the Engineering Division, citing Council Resolution 33621 and 37021. Mr. Zalinsik.
Thank you, Council President, City Council members. As you know, back in 2020, TAMC, which is the Transportation Asset Management Council, requires any community with 100 miles of Act 51 road jurisdiction roads to provide a asset management report every 3 years. Obviously, this is our 3rd year. We did the first one in 2020. We're due again by October 31st of 2023. Typically in that report, we showcase our PACER ratings, traffic signals, bridges in this community, and then culvert inspections. This is a kind of a template set up by SEMCOG to help communities around the state to ensure that we have an asset management plan in place. We're asking your approval to have OHM do the inspections for the culverts, for stormwater, obviously. We've done some replacements, as Councilman Nabar knows, up by their location with the Denmark Drain. We've done some improvements on Denmark Drain. We want to continue inspecting those culverts to make sure that we can continue on with that stormwater improvements if necessary, or find funding in the future to maintain those. That was a big portion of the contract. The remaining portion of $5,000 is for the asset management report, which we collect a lot of data in-house, but provide it to OHM to help support in the annual report. In addition, part of the program, like I said, will maintain the bridges, which OHM has done the inspections in previously on Hubbard and Newburgh, which we are required every 2 years. So it makes sense in a couple aspects. One, they've been part of the millage program since 2002, bridge inspections, and obviously helped us previously in this report, which is required by the TAMC. And hopefully, again, provide the information necessary for us to help guide us in the future for future budgets and improvements. So with that, asking your approval in the amount of $24,900. We also have Jessica Caters here to help assist in that manner with the report. Again, they are putting on a in-house seminar about the culvert inspections, what they're looking for requirements. There's about 30 or so that the city will be inspecting, so thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Barr.
One question for Mr. Zalinsik. It says authorize the city engineer to approve minor adjustments and the work is required. Is there any financial implication to that, or is that just
No, I mean,
day-to-day?
just basically in case there's something that comes up that we didn't see in the culverts, or maybe there's something that we need to go a deeper dive that we got to add another couple, you know.
Got it. I'll offer approving for consent if there's no objection.
Okay, any comments on 9? Seeing none. Going to 10, our final item of the night, a request to approve an intergovernmental agreement between the Charter County of Wayne and the City of Livonia from the Engineering Division for the improvement of Wayne Road from Joy Road to Plymouth Road, with the proposed city's participation to be estimated at 9.075% for the total amount of $165,301. Mr. Zalinsik.
Thank you, Council President. Again, there's 2 locations that Wayne County is working on this year as part of the Federal Aid Committee, which they get gas tax from Washington. One of them is Wayne Road. The other one's going to be Inkster 5 to Schoolcraft. We're asking for your approval in the intergovernmental agreement, the IGA, in the amount of $165,301 to execute the agreement and then pay half as the upfront cost to Wayne County for their work. We have a pre-con meeting scheduled here on the 26th, and then we'll find out more information as far as the construction and keep you posted on the other portion, Inkster from 5 Mile to Schoolcraft. I also want to thank Wayne County for all the excellent work they've done with the intersections such as 6 and Farmington, Merriman Road between 5 and 6, 6 and 7, and all the other projects they have helped to make the city a lot better for infrastructure. So thank you.
Okay, Council.
Mr. Chair, go ahead.
Mr. Morgan.
Yes, I'd like to offer an approving for consent.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Mr. Barr.
I'm good.
Okay, Thank you very much. That concludes our agenda for the evening. The council will go back to audience comment for any non-agenda items. Is there any audience comment tonight? Seeing none, we will go to the council. Is there any closing remarks from my friends here on council? I see none. We'll thank everybody for watching and thank those who have attended, and we'll call tonight. Meeting is adjourned. Good night, Livonia.